In this tutorial, I want to look at another scenario for getting a Java Maven project into Eclipse. In this scenario, I'm going to look at using a version control system, namely GitHub. And we're going to take a console application from GitHub into a local Git repository and then load that into Eclipse. So let's select the Maven Java console application, click on that. And then we head over to the clone URL and hover on the copy to clipboard icon and click on that. What this does is basically it copies the URL for that project into the clipboard, and then we can paste that into Eclipse. Okay, so we're back in Eclipse and we need to call up the Git repository. So to do that, go to Windows, Show View, Other, and then scroll down till we find Git, expand that and select Git repositories. So click on that and go OK. And then because this is the first Git repository, we've got three options here. And we always want to clone a Git repository in this scenario. So we select that. Now the URI is pre-populated because you copied it to the clipboard. So we can leave everything else as default and go next. Now downloading from over the internet from GitHub to our local Git repository. And I will select this option on projects, import all existing projects after a clone finish. So select that. OK. OK, so what's happened is we now have a local Git repository as a clone of that from GitHub. Eclipse has analysed what's in that repository and it's imported all the projects into the Project Explorer. And notice it's recognised it's a Maven project by this M. So we've got the M there for Maven and a J there for Java, so it's a Maven Java project. Expand that. And the other thing I like to do is right click on that again, go down to Maven, Update Project. Make sure MVN Tutorial 1 is selected. The other options can be left as default. Hit OK. And you notice it reformats it, so it's now very similar to Sample 1 and Sample 2. Again, I would just like to point out we still have the same directory layout. We still have the src main Java. That contains our Java package and our Java classes. We have an src test Java, which contains the Java package, which mirrors that of the source code, and also the Java test class. Again, we have Maven dependencies. We have a target and a POM XML file. Now we can open up the POM XML file. Again, it's going to be very similar to Sample 1 and Sample 2. Except I've got to do a few extra bits and pieces because I'm going to start talking about the POM and what goes in the POM very shortly. But I just want to introduce you to another step, and that's actually how to do a build. So right click on the actual project, go Run As, and you'll see a bunch of M2 options. Go to Maven Build with 3 dots. And under Goals, a goal is a task, so we want to tell Maven to perform a task. So you want to do a task called Clean and Package. Don't worry about the details of that right now because we'll be going to that very shortly. I just wanted to show actually doing a complete clean and build of a project and do Run. And as you can see, an awful lot's being downloaded off the internet now, and they're our success. So you notice an awful lot of downloading going on here. So it's gone from Maven Central, which is actually http repo maven-apache.org. That's Maven Central, down onto my local repository within the .m2 folder, where the settings.xml file lives. The other thing you notice is it actually ran some tests. So it ran 2 test scenarios, which passed. What I'd like to show again is if I run that again, clean package, should be a lot quicker. There you are, no downloading this time. Because basically it's cached everything it needed, all the plugins it needed, and performance is much better. Okay, so that's it for importing a project from a source repository such as GitHub. It's pretty straightforward again. One thing to always remember though is to do right click Maven Update Project. You can update more than one project at a time, but this is a key. A lot of people don't realise this, and they always think the M2 Eclipse plugin doesn't work properly, but it does. You just need to do an update Maven project, and everything works just fine. One thing I wanted to show as well, now we're running here, is when we do a build, we can go to the Maven build. We can actually do minus version, as you would do on the command line, just to double check the version of Maven we're using. And there we are, Apache Maven 3.2.1. So we're no longer using the embedded version of Maven, we actually are using the same version of Maven as we are on a command line and our continuous integration environment. And that is great for consistency. Okay, in the next tutorial I'm going to start looking at a bit more theory around the POM, basically what the POM is and what goes into the POM.